Many states too close to call. The polls have just closed in 4 more states. Let's take you through what we have as you look first at the national vote total. Looking first at the state of Iowa, it is too close to call. Nevada, too close to call. Utah, too early. Keep in mind that's a 3-way race with McMullen in the race there in Utah. Montana, NBC News projects that Donald Trump will win in Montana. And we can perhaps take a look now where we stand in that race to 270. And here's where it stacks up right now. Based on the projections we've made so far, Trump with 140, Clinton with 104. We're also watching, among the many states we're watching where things are close, the state of Pennsylvania, as we take a look right there at the map. But if we can move out, I want to show you what's happening in Pennsylvania, because we want to go to our correspondent there, Kate Snow, who is with both Trump and Clinton voters. Kate?
Lester, yeah, we are right outside of Philadelphia, Montgomery County, which we said earlier is kind of an area that you really need to watch in Pennsylvania. And it's interesting, we're in a bar, obviously. We got a lot of Trump fans here, and I was talking to Lisa before. Tell me again, you were telling me that you didn't even want to put a sign out in front of your house because you're a business owner. But now, how are you feeling right now?
I'm so excited. I am just beyond excited because now you can outwardly say, this is the guy I wanted, this is the guy who spoke his mind, this is the guy that's going to fight for us.
Why did you vote for him? Why? You've been working for him as a volunteer. Why?
Yeah, because he's going to take our country back. There are different things that, again, as a business owner, you want to just taxes, Obamacare. Yeah. There are just all these different.
And you said to me earlier that you felt like he says the things that other people don't say out loud.
No, they don't. And people say, well, he said this about women. He said that. What is he said that I don't hear other women saying about men? Women talk about men all the time and have said worse than he's ever said.
Lisa, thank you. We got a whole table full of Trump supporters, but let me pivot over here. We actually asked some folks to move over here who voted for Hillary Clinton. How are you feeling? You're watching the TVs in here. The sound isn't up, but you can see what's happening. How are you feeling?
A little bit nervous. I'm a little bit surprised about Florida being so close. I don't want it to go back to a Bush-Gore thing where they have to recount the votes, but I really think it's going to come down to Florida.
Everybody's nodding along at the table. Nobody wants a recount again, myself included. I was in Tallahassee for a long time. Tell me why you think this county Montgomery County might go for Hillary Clinton.
Oh, I'm actually from Illinois, but...
Oh, okay. Okay. You're from Philly. Okay, well, we got a mixed crowd in the bar, but why did you vote for her?
Oh, well, actually, I didn't vote because I'm not American, but I'm a Hillary supporter.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Lester, I would say it's very loud in here. There's a DJ playing behind me, so folks can't really hear all of our coverage, but we've got it all on the screens, and people are glued to the screens. And just a note about Pennsylvania and where we are, we're hearing that the lines were so long in some places that people are still voting. Even though polls closed technically at 8 o'clock Eastern time 2 hours ago, people are still in line. In certain parts of the state, I'm hearing Adams County, I'm hearing around Pittsburgh and in Philadelphia, there are still lines out there. Lester?
34% of the vote in Pennsylvania. Clinton in the head. Kate, thanks very much. We have another projection coming in. I'm told it's New Mexico. NBC News projects that Hillary Clinton will win the 5 electoral votes in the state of New Mexico. Let's go to Hallie Jackson right now, who is digging deeper into some of these numbers on this very, very tight race right now in the exit poll.
And Lester, we're looking at 3 key battleground states right now, states that are extremely close in our battleground map. Let's start with Michigan, because we've been talking about that all night. We want to focus on what's driving this close race in these states. And in Michigan, at this moment, our exit polls are showing it appears to be white voters without a college degree. Look at this column here, the Republican candidate. The Republican candidate in 2012 got 55% of the vote. Donald Trump right now is doing better, up 6 points. So he is overperforming the Republican from 2012, Mitt Romney. And look at the Democratic candidate, of course, Hillary Clinton. In 2012, Barack Obama, the Democrat, got 44% of the vote. She is down 13 percentage points from that position, from where they were in 2012. So that is really what we're looking at and what we're sort of diving into when it comes to Michigan. I want to pull up Pennsylvania now because we're taking a look at the age gap, right? Voters in Pennsylvania under the age of 30, the so-called millennials, if you will. They're turning out, they're breaking out for Hillary Clinton by 55% to 39%. It is The flip, the reverse of that, when you look at voters over 65 going more for Donald Trump. He's got about 50% of the vote. She's got 48% of the vote. And then in another key battleground state, we want to look at the race breakout in Florida. Let's pull it up here. Those voters in Florida who have a favorable opinion of Donald Trump. Most white voters in Florida do have a favorable opinion. 1 in 4 Hispanic voters roughly have a favorable opinion, but only 1 in 10 black voters feel that same way. And this demographic here, the African-American vote, the Hispanic vote, that is going to be crucial to what we see in Florida when it comes to turnout. I did speak with one source close to the Trump campaign who said, hey, we are not getting crushed with the Hispanic vote right now, and that is a good sign for them. Lester?
Hallie Jackson, thanks. Back to our panel, and joining us now is Mike Murphy, an NBC News political analyst who served as senior strategist for John McCain's first campaign for president in 2000. And Mike, nice to have you here. For those who thought this was going to be an early evening, you say.
Yeah, anything but. I thought it would be an early evening. I thought Florida, a state I worked a lot, and most of the political hacks on both sides thought it would be a 2 to 3 point early defeat for Trump, and that would set the tone. Instead, Florida now is going to be hard.
Mike, I'm going to ask you to hold off again. We have another call here, and the state of Missouri, and NBC News projects that Missouri will go to Donald Trump. Donald Trump will win. And let's look at where things stand right now. There's a Missouri call, and let me show the where we stand in the race to 270. There it is right now. Trump at 150, Clinton 109. The race to 270. Mike, I cut you off. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What's interesting about Florida is the pattern is unlike anything I've seen in Florida politics before. You get a more urban Republican area like Jacksonville, Duval County. Trump's doing horribly. He's doing under Romney in the bigger Tampa counties. But you go north of Tampa to the exurbs, he's off the charts. He is breaking the meter like numbers we haven't seen before. And that's moving the whole state to a point where, well, I believe it'll tighten. There's more of her vote out than his. Yeah, I don't think she's will be able to make it.
So far, he hasn't won anything that we didn't anticipate. But you, Chuck, you're punching the numbers in Florida. You think?
Look, there's just not enough. I just, maybe there's some extra vote that we don't know about. And again, I stress that happens. And I remember vividly in 2000 the 50,000 vote error that was discovered late. So, don't forget those things happen here. But you look, and there's trickles that are left. Almost every county is reported. What's out is there's only one county that's out that's more favorable to Trump. Polk has a little bit. But Volusia, which is Daytona, essentially, and that's basically a 50-50 county. There's a lot of Volusia out, but that's not enough for her to gain ground. It's Palm Beach, Miami, and Broward.
Right.
Is there enough vote out there left in those bottom 3 counties for her to close this gap? But I have to tell you, the gap grew again. She got it down to 111,000, and then it's back up to 130. So I don't see the path forward for her in Florida. So now, listen to this. Last time a Democrat won the White House without the state of Florida was Bill Clinton, 1992. So maybe she's got that karma going for her. I don't know. And the last time you lost Florida and Ohio and still won the White House was John Kennedy.
But are other paths carry her through some of these other states that are too close to call right now?
Yes, but we're looking at a situation here, I think, that it's Michigan. I really do. That at the end of the day, we're staring at Michigan. I go through this. Pennsylvania, she probably does eke it out. We'll see. She has to do that, but we're looking at Michigan being
what
the big
is so fascinating is nobody was talking about Michigan until about 5 days ago.
Except Michael Moore, I'll give him that. He has been screaming about it,
right.
To his credit.
Right, to his credit. It is his home state. We all like to talk about our home states. We look at Chuck with Florida, but I mean, Trump, they saw something going on in Michigan. They sent him there, and people were saying, what? And then the Clinton team added a stop. President Obama was there.
We put Michigan on the screen to see where we are.
Somebody who's done a lot of governor campaigns in both Florida and Michigan. There's one difference. Michigan has rural counties that are more Democratic in many places compared to Sunbelt and southern states.
They have been.
Yeah, they have been. Will Trump really turn that over? And will Detroit vote and Flint what it normally does, or will it be under enough that Trump's overage in some of these places will make it? And Trump is doing well in some of these smaller counties right now at the beginning, but there's a lot of Michigan still out. It's going to be tight.
What has been totally underestimated by those of us in the so-called press establishment and the people who have been looking at this is the depth of the anger, the depth of the people saying, I want to change. I don't care if I have to pull the pin on a grenade and roll it across the country. Whatever it takes, we want change, and we want big change.
But the other thing we did, and I have to say this, is that I think in general, and the biggest critique on the establishment, and I throw the media in here, as well as the two political parties, we've overlooked rural America a bit too much. And I think in hindsight, I said, you know, everybody's been talking about the changing demographics of America and the changing face of America. That's all true. But we've forgotten about rural America, and rural America is basically saying, hello, they are screaming at us to say, stop overlooking us. You know, we're not ready to have just 21st century fly by us.
But some of this has been hiding in plain sight. I mean, Donald Trump came in with a message that is very distinct and very different from Republican orthodoxy, from Republican, the way that the Republicans have always run as free traders, and they love free trade agreements. And if his message is resonating, this is where it was going to resonate. If it was going to make a difference, this is exactly where. So in some ways, ultimately, it's not surprising that now we're focused like a laser on this section of the country.
And building a bit of a new coalition with that economic populism. But will it have long enough legs? We'll see.
Yeah, well, we still have hours to go here. And by the way, if you have a restaurant that delivers breakfast, I'd call them right now.
Joining us now is conservative political commentator and host Glenn Beck, founder of The Blaze. Glenn, nice to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Give us your take on what is happening here, because things are a lot tighter than many had imagined tonight.
Yeah, a lot tighter than I imagined as well. You know, I think what Chuck just said was exactly right on the money. We have not listened to, you know, I think Chuck said the heartland, but I don't think we've listened to each other at all. And I know I've been at fault on this. In the last couple of years, I've really tried to analyze myself and analyze what I've done and what I do. And we don't listen to each other, and we don't trust each other. And, you know, the media, that includes me, that unfortunately, Tom, includes you. I can't believe it would, but it does. That 34% of Americans trust any of our voices. And that is because they view us as speaking down to them, pontificating, telling them, and not listening to them, declaring who they are. It's difficult for me to consider myself a conservative or to consider myself a Republican tonight. If this is what a conservative or a Republican is, then I'm not part of that. I don't want anything to do with that. But I understand why people are feeling this way when you have, what is it, 60% of the people who voted for Donald Trump don't like that they're voting for Donald Trump, and 54% who are voting for Hillary Clinton aren't happy about voting for Hillary Clinton.
So at the end of this, are you going to have a lot of orphan voters, people that feel, like yourself, that don't feel they have a place?
I think the majority feel that way. Even those people who voted for either one of these, they're not happy with it. And so I think on both sides, the parties have to realize now, boy, we need to start reflecting the people and listening to the people, because the people are entering a time, as we're seeing tonight, beyond reason. They're not listening. When you get into so much fear or so much anger, you know, the mind's mechanism is just to shut down reason. And they're not listening to reason. And we have got to find our way to each other. My goal in the next year is to meet with the people I think I disagree with the most and not try to talk them into anything, not try to have an argument with them. I just want to listen. I want to be able to say, is this what you believe and why you believe it? And when they say yes, then we could even begin to have a conversation. But at least for me, that's a year away before I could have a conversation. We have to start listening to people.
Glenn
if
Beck.
we don't, we're in trouble.
Glenn Beck, good to have you on. Thanks so much for spending some time with us from Dallas there. We continue to monitor the close races still up for grabs. We're waiting more poll closings. Stay with us. Things remain razor thin right now. We've got more coverage of Decision Night in America next.
Decision Night in America is sponsored by Amazon Echo.
Alexa, ask NBC News, when is Inauguration Day?
Inauguration date is Friday, January 20th, 2017.
Enable the NBC News skill on your Amazon Echo to enhance your election night experience.
That's why if elected, I will protect Brett.
Alexa, ask Kayak how much is a one-way ticket to Canada.
When would you like to fly?
Now.
Alexa, order more AA batteries.
Okay.
Alexa, ask Uber for a ride.
People always say, let's just get a sandwich or something. You don't just learn how to drive or solve the world's problems, be a dad or something. And we don't just make sandwiches or something. We hand slice avocado, pull smoked chicken, bake fresh focaccia, and craft every sandwich clean from top to bottom. There's nothing or something about it. Panera, food as it should be.
I am aware that I'm surrounded by people who feel that they could do the job better. Strong people with powerful characters. But there comes a time where one must draw a line in the sand. The world has changed, and for better or worse, the crown has landed on my head.
Thursday Night Football, Thursday, only on NFL Network.
Jim Butler's Savings Alert. Chevy announced Black Friday for all of November. But Jim Butler's going one better than the factory and all other Chevy dealers, turning Black Friday into Green Friday. Get all the Black Friday discounts, plus powerhouse bonus discounts. That's why Jim Butler's #1 in Missouri and Southern Illinois. We do deals the other guys just won't. Our Green Friday beats their Black Friday every time. Shop us online at JimButlerChevrolet.com.
Jim Butler is the Chevy powerhouse.
Welcome back. A view of the Ring Democracy Plaza. The map slowly filling in. We are waiting for a lot of states too close to call. It's a nail-biter of a night. The race to 270. You saw the numbers there. I want to show you a tweet that Hillary Clinton put out a little bit after 5 o'clock this afternoon. It says, I'm going to try and read it from here. This team has so much to be proud of. Whatever happens tonight, thank you for everything. That, by the way, was before any of the polls closed, but that again from Hillary Clinton. We're also watching the Dow futures right now, reacting to this night. The Dow futures down 625 points right now as investors continue to watch what's happening here. This race a lot closer at this point in the night than many people had anticipated, and it's going to keep us up all here quite late tonight. A lot of states too close to call. Let's go to Kristen Welker right now at Clinton headquarters. Kristen?
Lester, good evening. I've been talking to top Clinton campaign officials and her top surrogates, and they say they're not panicking. They still insist there is a path to win, even if they don't hold Florida or Ohio. Not that they are conceding those states. The path for them, the states that they are focused on right now, include Michigan, Colorado, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. Lester, we've spent so much time talking about Pennsylvania. That is her firewall. That's where she held that massive rally last night. More than 30,000 people joined by the Obamas and, of course, her husband, that big unity rally. But I can tell you that I've been talking to Democrats who were invited here to what they were hoping would be a watch party and victory party, and they are candidly acknowledging that they have begun to get nervous, that this is a very close race. They were anticipating that, but obviously it's turning into a much closer race than they had hoped for. The mood here when this night initially got underway was ebullient. This crowd was breaking out into cheers throughout the evening. Now it has become much quieter. Those moments of cheering have become fewer and far between. But again, they still think they have a path, and they are very focused on the state of Michigan and Pennsylvania at this hour, Lester.
All right now, as you see on the screen, Trump leading in the electoral race with 150 to Clinton's 109. This will be a very long night. We'll be here with you every step of the way, keeping a close eye on those very tight battleground races. More poll closings coming up. We invite you to stay with us. We'll be right back.
I didn't really know anything about my family history. Went to Ancestry. I put in the names of my grandparents first. I got a leaf right away. A leaf is a hint that is connected to each person in your family tree. I learned that my 10 times great grandmother is George Washington's aunt. Within a few days, I went from knowing almost nothing to, holy crow, I'm related to George Washington. This is my cousin George.
Discover your story. Start searching for free now at Ancestry.com.
We're quickly back from the break. We have a new projection. The state of Ohio, NBC News projects when the votes are counted, Ohio will go to Donald Trump. Donald Trump will win Ohio. Chuck Todd, you've been watching. Let's show you where that takes us in the race to 270 right now. As we come down on the ice, and right now it's 168 Trump, Clinton 109. You've been watching Florida. You don't think it's going well for Clinton there?
I don't, and I think North Carolina is trending Trump here. Look, first of all, Ohio, a little historical nugget. The last time somebody didn't win the White House while winning Ohio was in 1916, Richard Nixon. Ohio is, and no Republican, you have to win Ohio to win the White House. Trump has done it. Florida's trending his way. North Carolina's trending his way. I go back. This is, Luke Russert has already tweeted it. God love him. Michigan, Michigan, Michigan. We're going to be sitting here talking about Michigan.
Now, Ohio, agree. I was just going to say Ohio is one where the polls seem to have gotten it right because the polls have consistently shown a tight race, but Trump up a little bit. But as you mentioned, if he's going to put Florida in his column and Ohio, potentially North Carolina, now we're looking at the Rust Belt, Virginia, a little close for comfort for Clinton.
Look, the Clinton campaign bragged about these firewalls and these let's see if you have one.
Well,
we're about to find out. Let's see if they have
does
one.
Pennsylvania remain a firewall?
Pennsylvania is the one state that's so far performing as they expected, not underperforming. So really all eyes are on Michigan, although both New Hampshire and Nevada, those go ways that you're not sure, and then we start getting into the funky 269, 269 business. I'm not going to get us there yet. Let's see how this night plays on. But look, there's still a ton of vote in Oakland County, Macomb County, and in Wayne County, which is Detroit. Here's what I can tell you about Michigan and those three. She's winning in Oakland, but not by about 10 points. He is killing it in Macomb right now by about 20. That's the old Reagan Democrat home out there. And then Wayne, of course, is Detroit, and we just don't know how much vote is in Wayne. Detroit has been a shrinking city, one of the few cities in America that's been shrinking, not expanding over the last decade.
She's going to need excellent Wayne County, and he'll do well in western Wayne County, which are working class suburbs, and Genesee, Flint, and she's going to really need to perform there because the rural stuff is going pretty well for him, and Oakland is not that big. It should be a little bigger.
Enough. Yeah.
Are there any signs of it that we've talked about this silent Trump vote, the ones that didn't show up on the radar in the polls?
I wouldn't call it silent. I think we underestimated the turnout in rural areas, and I think a lot of the polling underestimated it. So is it a silent Trump vote, or is it more it was there, it didn't activate during the primaries in these giant numbers, so I think there was too many of our pros, and I'd love to talk to our pros about it.
Base.
And it turns out these folks, they maxed out in rural America beyond maxing out.
It vindicates what Donald Trump has been saying about his rallies. Look at all these people. I got 20,000 people in this little tiny section of North Carolina or Michigan or wherever.
Look at Ohio. The governor of Ohio, a very popular guy, Governor Kasich, who has gone to war against Donald Trump during this entire election season. And Rob Portman, who ran away from him, a very popular senator. Trump comes into the state and wins it. I mean, that tells you something that is extraordinary that is going on. Conventional politics ain't in play anymore, folks.
Yeah.
All right.
In his places, they're on steroids. It is huge amounts of numbers.
We've got to take a quick break here. We're going to be back more as we continue. But again, Ohio is the latest one in the Trump portfolio. as we watch that race to 270 on our ice at Democracy Plaza. We'll be right back.
It's going to be Johnny.
Good evening. Nearly 2.5 hours after the polls closed in Missouri and Illinois, the results are rolling in.
Here are the latest numbers in the Missouri governor's race. Eric Greitens at 56%, Chris Koster at 41%, but that's only with 17% of the precincts reporting. 5 on your side's Casey Nolan is live with the Koster campaign at the Chase Park Plaza Hotel in St. Louis.
Mike and Ann, not only the Koster camp, but other Democrats as well. This is a huge Democratic party. And I will tell you, the air has come out of the room just a little bit here. When the party leaders go on stage, they still have an optimistic message, but it does not get quite the applause that it did when the night started. You heard some boos when it was announced that Donald Trump has won Missouri, and we've just heard an overall less enthusiastic atmosphere as the national race kind of seems to dominate what people are able to learn about so far. Talking to the Koster campaign, they are still cautiously optimistic. Not sure you can say the same for those in the room. Take a listen. Did you ever think you would see Donald Trump doing as well as he is right now?
It is a little hard to believe.
Are you worried?
Not too much.
Here's why the Koster campaign is still cautiously optimistic. Slow returns, slow to come in from the suburbs of St. Louis County. They feel like that will help their cause. How is Eric Greitens feeling? Let's send it to West St. Louis County and Christina Coleman. Christina.
Well, the people right here, there's a lot of cheers going on right now. You can tell the crowd here is very, very excited. The supporters very, very optimistic. Just to give you a taste, very, very lively atmosphere here, and it's just more and more people keep coming in as the votes continue to be counted. Now we canvassed this room asking the supporters why they are backing Greitens. A few of them said they're fed up with the state's economy, they want someone new with fresh ideas, and that they believe that Greitens will be a good leader. They also like his military experience. He's a combat veteran in Naval SEAL. His supporters are really hoping that he'll be able to give a victory speech tonight.
Oh, he's just such a leader and such a clean guy that's got a ton of ideas on how he's going to make Missouri a better state. Missouri needs help with education, economy, you know, you can go on and on.
Now, Greitens is in a different room watching the results come in with his family, but he will be here to give a speech tonight once all of the votes are counted. Back to you.
Now to a local race that Democrats were hoping could help change the balance of power in the U.S. Senate.
Let's take a look at the Missouri Senate race, and you can see, again, this is just 17% of the precincts reporting, but Roy Blunt out in front of the Democrat Jason Kander, 54% to 41%. 5 on your side's Jennifer Meckles is live with the Kander campaign in Kansas City.
Hi there, Mike. We're at the Uptown Theater in Kansas City. The room is completely packed and all eyes are glued on the television screens behind me. Every time a Democrat, whether it's in the state of Missouri or in the national polls, wins a race, they cheer. They just don't know yet if the Democrat they're here to support is going to win tonight or not. These folks are supporting Jason Kander, again running for the Democratic seat for an open U.S. Senate seat. He is the current Secretary of State in the state of Missouri here, a war veteran, former state rep. He was around the entire state today trying to wrap up the very last minutes of campaigning, visiting voters in St. Louis, Columbia, and of course here in Kansas City. He's here tonight. We hope to hear from him, but we don't know yet if that'll be a victory speech or not. We will let you know when we know. Reporting live in Kansas City, Jennifer Meckles, News Channel 5 on your side.
As we reported earlier tonight, Democrat Tammy Duckworth has taken the Senate race in Illinois. 64% of the precincts reporting, but she has been declared the winner, leading Mark Kirk 57 to 38%.
And in the race to replace Chris Koster as Missouri's Attorney General, it's former Cass County Prosecutor Teresa Hensley and constitutional law professor Josh Hawley. And right now, Josh Hawley, the Republican, is ahead with 63%. 18% of the precincts reporting, Hensley with 37% of the vote.
In the state treasurer's race, St. Louis County State Senator Eric Schmidt, he's from Glendale. He's facing former state representative Judy Baker from Columbia. Here's a look at those numbers. Eric Schmidt well in front with 18% of the precincts reporting. He's got 61% of the vote.
And a big tobacco tax hike was on the ballot in Missouri. Here's how Amendment 3 is doing so far. No, 58%. Yes, 42%. 11% of the precincts reporting on Missouri Amendment 3.
Stay with 5 on your side for continuing coverage of the election.
And as we come back from a break, we have a new projection. NBC News projects that Hillary Clinton will win in the state of Virginia. 13 electoral votes. Here's how it's shaking out right now. Clinton ahead at 47% over Trump. What does this mean to the electoral map? Let's take you down to the eye, see where things stand. Trump with 168, Clinton with 122 as our map begins to fill in. But there are some states in gray right there who are going to create a lot of upset stomachs and drama in both campaigns tonight. Let's go to Chuck Todd right now, who is with some of our pollsters to get a little read on what we're seeing here and how we got here.
I'm with Bill McInturff, Republican, Fred Yang, Democrat. These guys are the brains behind the NBC Wall Street Journal poll. So, Bill, yes. Obviously the battlegrounds much tighter than any of the polling showed, not just ours, all of the polling. Is this the result of a hidden Trump vote or us underestimating what rural America would do in turning out?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. It's not a shy vote. It's that Donald Trump has built a unique coalition. He's winning white non-college by literally the mid-30s, higher than Ronald Reagan in the year 1980, and those people are turning out. And it's aggregating. When you're winning the rural part by 30, 35 points, it's offsetting softer turnout in some of the core urban areas. I think that combination is pushing these states. And look, the other thing you want to remember is that Minnesota, Michigan, these are states that still retain a very high percentage of the white vote, very different than other parts of the country.
Fred, how would you answer that question?
I would say volatility. I think one of the interesting findings from the exit polls is among the people who decide in the last couple days, they went for Trump by 5 points. And you say that's not a huge margin, but in a race like this, where small margins make a big difference in some of these battleground states. I think that, plus the fact that Clinton didn't perform as well with white college-educated voters as some of the pre-election polls suggested. Add all these things up, tilt some of these battleground states to the Trump column.
Bill, you also had another fascinating nugget in the exit poll. Among voters who didn't like both candidates, who's winning?
Trump's winning 2-1, 45-27, and here's the shocker. That's 18% of the people who voted who don't like either candidate.
Almost 1 in 5.
That is three and a half times higher than the typical thing we normally see. So you've got folks, 1 out of 5, who don't like either candidate, and they voted for the guy who represents a bigger change.
And not only that, Bill, in the exit polls, 54% of Americans gave President Obama a positive approval rating, and his designated successor is in a 50-50 fight for the presidency.
Unbelievable. All right, Lester, I'm coming back to the boards, buddy.
Come on back. I want to go to Andrea Mitchell right now at Hillary Clinton's headquarters here in New York. You know, Andrea, one of the things we've discussed over the last week or two is this notion of overconfidence. The Clinton folks said they were guarding against it, but clearly there's got to be a lot of nervousness in that room right now.
Well, there was a big cheer that went up with the Virginia call. That was a very big deal. And interesting that Barbara Comstock, a well-known Fairfax County Congresswoman, Republican, won her seat despite the fact that Hillary Clinton is now projected to be the winner in Virginia. The crowd is now being fired up by the governor, Andrew Cuomo, speaking outside this room. But other than that, there have been few speakers who have gotten their attention, so it's been a pretty quiet night here. That said, if they win Michigan, and I was talking to former Governor Jennifer Granholm, who still thinks that it's possible. She acknowledges that the African-American vote in Detroit and Flint were not what they expected. They're still looking for some more Latino vote. So they're waiting to see what happens in Michigan, as you've all been pointing out. That is their hope. They've got a path, clearly. I don't really buy the argument about overconfidence. just traveling with Hillary Clinton and watching how hard they worked and the money they've spent and the field of volunteers and paid staff they put out there, I think that they were determined not to leave anything on the table up until her, her final homecoming at 3:30, 3:45 this morning. So I just think that the email controversy and other ingredients that made her less popular, less trustworthy. You just cited those polls with John Yang and Bill McIntyre. That is a residual fact, and when we look back on this, that last-minute Comey letter, we don't know this yet, anecdotally though, that last-minute blow on that Friday really wasn't a momentum kill, and she had to revive and pick herself up.
All right, let's come on back here, Andrew. We've got another projection to make in the state of Colorado. NBC News projects Hillary Clinton will win in the state of Colorado, 9 electoral votes. Let me quickly get Nicole in here. That's an important one for her. That's got to.
Here's what's happened. They're all important for her now and for him. But with all due respect to our pollsters and everyone else's pollsters, the assumption as of noon today was that she was 3.5 points ahead. This is not the map that reflects a 3.5
points ahead.
And the Republicans in Michigan are a lot like the Republicans in a lot of the southern states that he swept. He certainly had a resonant message in big parts of states that we weren't watching, but that someone in the Trump orbit knew he had a shot at.
And right now, you saw there the race to 270. It's Trump at 168, Hillary Clinton at 131. Chuck is at the map here, continuing to work these paths to 270.
Look, I'm going to put them in here. Let's do Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, Trump leading in all of those. By the way, our Nebraska, a little glitch. It's all in the system. Just trust me on there. Let's go ahead and put Arizona there. So you see Trump sitting at 259. Let's give her Pennsylvania. If it holds, talk to one of our pollsters is an expert in Pennsylvania. He thinks she wins by 2 points in Pennsylvania. So let's go ahead and do that. Now you're looking at what we're looking at here, 259 to 252. Let's see what happens in Nevada. I'm not as confident about Nevada as anymore, considering what we've seen there. But you can easily start messing around. So Michigan obviously would put him completely over the top here without needing a Nevada and without needing New Hampshire. That's the potential path he now has. This assumes that Iowa goes his way too. We still haven't had, but if Ohio went his way, you got to assume that Iowa is going to go there too. So look, I come back here, Michigan, she's now going to need Michigan, say, and a New Hampshire or a Nevada, certainly there. But essentially, as Nicole is right, each state is now important to both of them. This is no longer, she's got all these paths to 270. No, she doesn't. Her path to 270 is Pennsylvania, Michigan, and either Nevada or New Hampshire, and she has to win 3 of those 4, and 2 of those 3 can't be Nevada and New Hampshire.
This is Savannah. Give me your take on that.
Well, I think, as Chuck just said, I mean, this is firewall time. And you look at some of these states and you see that there's the Hillary Clinton headquarters and they're cheering for Virginia and they're cheering for Colorado. These are 2 states that they were so confident about that they stopped spending money in them back in August. I mean, it's just a complete sea change. And I think what people are going to say, how did this happen? How did polls miss it so much? And I think we're going to find out that they severely underestimated that rural vote, the white non-college educated voter turning out in a much bigger number, and perhaps we're going to be looking at the African American vote being depressed in certain areas, and that's going to be the difference.
I hate to bring up a name that you can't. This race changed when Director Comey made that initial thing. Right. That's when Republicans galvanized. Mm-hmm. You noted, Nicole, that's when Trump became a good candidate for the first time in weeks. But look, Republicans coming home is the other story here. Not only have we seen in the excerpts blowing through the roof the Trump voter, but as Bill noted, your college-educated white voter, she's doing well, but she's not doing as well as they expected.
It doesn't cancel out what he got. And listen, this was always out of reach for him when he was fighting with his own party. That's why it was viewed as so calamitous when he went to war with Republicans. The intra-party fighting was viewed as disastrous. But that hasn't really been the case for the last few weeks. The closing weeks of this campaign have had Republicans, even Paul Ryan, who we were talking about in the last hour, singing off of the same song sheet about Clinton corruption.
Don't forget health care either.
Exactly, huge story.
When those premiums went up, obviously their research said go after it because he hammered healthcare.
With an assist from Bill Clinton, who said, you know, we all know this law, you know, he said something derogatory about Obamacare, which gave them fuel, gave them ammunition. And what was different about the post-Comey period was that he had ammunition and he used it. He'd been a very inefficient candidate until that moment. When the Comey letter hit, he became a very efficient, a very disciplined, almost a traditional kind of candidate, and this is what it yielded.
Kevin Tibbles is in Michigan right now. Kevin, what's the move where you are, and what are people talking about?
Well, Lester, I think it's one of amazement and perhaps a little bit of surprise thrown in because people here last night were attending one of the final Donald Trump rallies here. At any point, did you ever think that Michigan, it might actually come down to Michigan?
Never. I never thought it would happen.
And what about you? I mean, Michigan did not seem to be in play. This was supposed to be a Democrat state.
We were ready to be in play. We were excited for something new and different. And well, Donald Trump is that person.
Well, what does Donald Trump represent to you that is different?
He tells it like it is. He isn't politically correct, which is sometimes good and sometimes not, but you know where he's coming from.
Well, I have to ask you, as a woman, why did you vote for him?
Because he tells it like it is. I have a lot of friends who tell it like it is, and you can trust them. You have to sort through some of the weeds, but when you get to the gist of it, you know he's speaking strong words and that he's going to live up to those words.
This was a rather subdued crowd up until about 45 minutes ago, Lester, and that's when the results started to come in. I think people here got excited when they saw what was going on in Ohio, which of course I believe is still too close to call. And then it started coming in here. People started talking about the number of people that voted in the Detroit area, which seemed to be low, and then here, which has been a Republican sort of island in this state of Michigan. But after this evening, I mean, who knows? It's all up in the air. Who knows what's going to happen here, Lester?
All right, Kevin Tibbles, thanks very much. And I know in the crush of that room and the noise you may have missed, but Ohio has been called as a Donald Trump state. Donald Trump wins Ohio. And let's drill down on Ohio because it may be Hallie Jackson, because it may tell us a little bit what else is going on in the Midwest.
And here's what we're seeing in Ohio, which could be reflected in Michigan, which is another one of these upper Midwest states, and obviously the one we're talking about tonight. Look at this. It wasn't immigration, it wasn't foreign policy or terrorism that ended up giving Trump the win. According to our exit polls, it was the economy. 54% of Ohio voters said that was the most important issue to them. And of the voters who said that the economy was the most important issue, and actually of Ohio voters overall, more of them thought that Donald Trump would better handle the economy. His message on trade seemed to resonate. This is something that we heard from Trump in the closing months of his campaign in the last few weeks as he made trip after trip after trip to Ohio, pressing this message. The other thing driving his victory in Ohio, he is the projected winner there. Take a look at this next board here. It's what we've been talking about all night. White voters without a college degree. Look at the margin for the Republican candidate. In 2012, it was 56%. Donald Trump outperformed Mitt Romney this year. And look at what happened with the Democratic candidate. In 2012, Barack Obama got 42%. Hillary Clinton underperformed him by 5 points. So that is something that we're going to look to see if that is matched in Michigan, given the similarities between the populations there, Lester.
Hallie Jackson, thanks. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to continue to keep a close eye on those too close to call states, and there are many of them. And another round of poll closings coming up, including a big one, California. Stay with us.
Decision Night in America is sponsored by Amazon Echo.
Alexa, pause. Alexa, resume.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Alexa, ask Domino's for my easy order. Okay.
Alexa, open baby names.
Okay.
From the first moment you met, it was love at first touch. And all you wanted to do was surround them in comfort and protection. That's why only Pampers Swaddlers is the #1 choice of hospitals. to wrap your baby in blanket-like softness and premium protection, so that all they feel is love. Wishing you love, sleep, and play, Pampers.
Hi, I'm Jim Preston. I'm a passenger on the Avalon, and we have an emergency. We're on a 120-year journey to a new home. And the thing is,
This can't be happening.
we woke up 90 years too soon. It's good to see another face. It's not possible for you to be here.
There's something they didn't tell us.
What's going on?
There's a reason we woke up early.
Rated PG-13.
Saving a life with a deadly disease.
Giving someone HIV.
Chicago Med, Thursday.
Get video on the go with the all-new app from News Channel 5. Local news, severe weather, traffic, when and where you want it. At home, at work, everywhere you are. It's smarter, faster, and made just for you. The new and totally free News Channel 5 app for your iPhone, iPad, or Android. Install or update it today. Discover the difference. Just search KSDK in the App Store.
It's 10:45 in the East in a little over 14 minutes. More poll closings: California, Hawaii, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington. And of course, we'll have the characterizations at the top of the hour. I want to go to Kristen Welker now. She's learned some new information at Clinton headquarters here in New York. Kristen?
Lester, good evening. The Clinton campaign projecting confidence in this nail-biter of a race. I just heard from one top official who says they still have a path to 270, and they say they are on that path. Why? Because they have won Colorado and Virginia, but the path includes holding Wisconsin and Michigan. They would then have to win Pennsylvania and either win Nevada or New Hampshire. So those are the states that they are watching at this hour. Now, they point out that in terms of Wisconsin, Madison is still out. That's obviously a heavy college area, so you're going to get younger voters. They think they can clinch that area. And then Michigan, Detroit is out. A lot of African-American voters. Of course, President Obama has been there trying to energize his base and that part of the Obama coalition. I can tell you that there are jitters here among top Clinton supporters who are gathered at the Javits Center, some of them acknowledging to me they are quite concerned about the fact that this race is a whole lot closer than they were anticipating. But again, at this hour, the Clinton campaign stressing that they still have a path to 270 and they think they can get there. Lester.
Listening to that path, Kristen, we're sending Chuck with his pad and up to the map here.
Well, look, the path is one state right now. I mean, yes, we may need to worry. We'll worry about Nevada and New Hampshire when we get there.
And Wisconsin, she noted.
In Wisconsin, there's no doubt. But let's get to know Michigan a little bit here. We still got, look, more than 50% of the vote out. But ultimately, let's take a look at what Wayne County is going to do. So right now, Clinton is winning it. Almost by 30 points. Let's go back to 2012 just to get an idea of the total vote that you'll see out of it. So we have 220,000 votes in there so far. If you go to Wayne in 2012, you see President Obama won it by almost 50 points. He got nearly, 370,000 net out of there. So my point is, that's what you're going to be wanting to watch tonight. Number one is going to be how much, it looks like, there we go. How much does she get out of here? Still very little of Detroit in, but she needs to net, doesn't need to net as much as Obama got out of there, but she needs to net probably 275 to 300,000 votes just out of Wayne County. So we got a ways to go, but that's just a simple way of just watching Michigan right now.
Why have you at the map? Can you show us where Florida is? We haven't
checked in on Florida a little bit. Let's go ahead and go to it here. I'm
sorry to put you on the spot.
That's okay. I could have navigated simpler. Look, vote keeps coming in. She hasn't really narrowed the gap very well. It's just not there. Unless there's magic boxes of ballot boxes somewhere that we don't know about. I can keep telling you, there is, the remaining vote is basically here in Palm Beach, Broward, Miami, and I think there's one precinct in Monroe that's left. But by the way, I was talking to a Florida expert of mine about how has Trump done this.
Yeah.
And it's essentially these Tampa ex-urban counties, okay, both north and south, in the Tampa market. He just blew through every single vote total estimate that Democrats had, and frankly, even Republicans just blew through. Look, she did her job in Hillsborough. Normally, how Hillsborough goes, you could say it was the most important swing county in the country over the last 16 years. But this is not enough. She's going to win Hillsborough and lose the state. That doesn't happen very often, but that's the story of what's happened in rural America.
By the way, everybody talking about how Trump didn't have much of a get-out-the-vote operation. But
didn't need it.
Apparently not, that he relied so heavily on the Republican Party, and there was already grousing from some inside states about there not being sufficient get-out-the-vote. Well, the vote got out.
We're going to take a break. Lots more ahead on this decision night in America.
Looking good is more important than looking where you're going. What are you going to do that day?
Is there an event on?
Grand touring. We've only had one minor fire.
How do you become America's #1? Start by taking care of families for 70 years. Earn the trust of 32 NFL teams. Be there for America's toughest. And help when help is needed. America's #1 isn't a status earned overnight. It's earned in every wash and re-earned every day. Tide, America's #1 detergent.
Great, that's 13. I've spent my life planting a size 6 non-slip shoe into that door. On this side, I want my customers to relax and enjoy themselves. But these days, it's phones before forks. They want Wi-Fi out here. But behind that door, I need a private connection for my business.
Wi-Fi Pro from Comcast Business. Public Wi-Fi for your customers, private Wi-Fi for your business.
Strong and secure. Good for a door and a network.
Comcast Business. Built for security, built for business.
Well, welcome back. We are watching a nail-biter of a presidential race. We knew this was going to be a close race, but it has become far closer and far earlier in the evening than many certainly had anticipated, and the reaction is being felt far and wide. Tom, you were just saying something. We continue to watch the Dow futures.
Well, I was just looking at the night of 9/11, after we absorbed what had happened that day, they were down 690 points. Right now, they're down 750 points. That's 60 points more as a result of what they're seeing so far. That's Wall Street making its bets, hedging its bets at this point about what is likely to happen. And, if you look at these, they think that Trump is going to be the president.
As Florida seems to be slipping away from Clinton, and the path certainly for Trump becoming a lot easier.
Well, I mean, I don't speak fluent CNBC, but I mean, Wall Street, we all know, hates uncertainty. And I think most financial experts will tell you Wall Street had not priced in a Trump win. I mean, there was the expectation that Hillary Clinton would win. So I think what we're seeing here is Wall Street reacting to the uncertainty. What would it mean? Because this is not something that the markets had really considered as a true possibility.
Although but it went the other way when Comey came out on Sunday.
It did, but then it bounced back. I mean, it briefly priced it in and then priced it out. That's why we're seeing this fluctuation.
But the polls, it's interesting, the polls didn't really identify a Comey effect, even though you kind of felt it.
Well, look, we still will never know, okay? The point is, was it natural closing that we were all witnessing? Or did Comey sort of galvanize the Republican base to say, oh yeah, that's why I don't like her. I had somebody text me and just say, perhaps Democrats, and this was a Democrat saying this, perhaps Democrats underestimated the dislike for Hillary Clinton out there. The assumption was Trump's dislike would trump hers.
She's really, no.
But that is not what's happening. It's essentially, you heard, if you dislike both of them, you were more likely to vote Trump than Clinton, and I think they thought in the dislike both of them game that they would win that.
And our exit poll showed they were people almost had them even in terms of untruthfulness and on the honesty question.
We do have to be careful here. We don't have the final results yet, and we have to work our way through them.
But Tom, it's important. Even if she wins now, this is an impactful result.
Oh, no, I agree with that. And I think even if she wins now, it'll be contested, is what I think. I think there'll be an automatic challenge to it, given the way that Donald Trump operates, and it'll be close enough for him to say, hey.
Legitimate to do it. It could be that close.
Right. I really think it's going to come to that, whatever the results are.
What's interesting is that when we polled, it's remarkably consistent. Trump had high negatives, slightly higher than Hillary Clinton's, but both extremely negative opinions from the public. However, it seems like voters were willing to say, as long as Donald Trump remains a protest vote, we're going to stick with him.
Yeah.
All right, we have a lot more ahead, so we invite you to stay with us. Decision Night in America continues right here on NBC. And we're back with you, and you're looking at the race to 270. There's the map on Democracy Plaza. Right now, Trump with 168 electoral votes, 131 for Clinton. Based on the projections we've made, you see the states and the way they've gone: blue for Clinton, red for Donald Trump. A lot of gray states there. We continue to watch, and this election will turn on those gray states. We were talking about the Comey effect and recognizing that no state has gone to Trump that was not anticipated yet, but we're watching these too close to calls.
Yeah, and I was just trying to make the point that it's almost as though voters were willing to say, sure, there's a lot I don't like about Donald Trump, but he's sending a message. My vote for Donald Trump says something to the establishment, whether it's the establishment in form of Congress or the White House, Washington, the media. As long as voting and pushing that button for Donald Trump for voters sent a message of frustration and anger and enough of the status quo, it is as though they were able to overlook whatever bad feelings they had about Donald Trump.
Let's look at some of the states outstanding right now. Florida, we keep coming back to Florida, and too close to call. We can show you where we are right now, 49 to 48, Trump.
We're only waiting just to make sure there's no missing vote or error. And by the way, we've all learned a lesson on Florida, so we're always a little slower in Florida, but I don't see a path for her.
Okay, let's look at Michigan right now. Michigan with about 46% of the vote in. Right now, Trump with a 49-46 lead.
We're just getting started. Michigan, we've got a long way to go.
Michigan's the new Florida.
Michigan's going to be our new Florida. We're all
Except
going to get used to figuring out how to say Genesee County correctly.
All right, North Carolina. Another too close to call state. There's the difference, 51-46, leaning in Trump's direction right now, 188,000 vote difference.
North Carolina's senator hung on, and that, to the extent that's a bellwether, there were a lot of high hopes among Democrats that Deborah Ross would prevail in that state. No, Richard Burr hangs on, the incumbent, and a lot of people are looking at it as we read tea leaves tonight.
By the way, we're going to be talking about this African-American vote that was a sort of stagnant, did not spike, and didn't in North Carolina, didn't in Florida. This could be the difference.
Let's talk about the Latino vote as we look at Nevada. Right now, Trump leading there. Now, keep in mind, 1% of the vote in, 68-27. This was a state the Clinton folks thought they had done well. They had galvanized a Latino vote. The early voting, and again, these are very, very early numbers. But as you said, she can't afford to lose any of these now.
She basically has a margin of error now of essentially Nevada or New Hampshire. She does not have a margin of error for both of them. It's Nevada or New Hampshire. She has to win one of those and sweep Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota.
We haven't checked New Hampshire in a while. Let's if we can get that up as we look at the race to 270 again, 168 to 131. Here's where things stand in New Hampshire. There's 4 electoral votes, but it could be a game changer. 57% of the electorate, the vote is in. 49-45 right now. Trump leads there with a 16,000 vote difference. This is not. We heard a minute ago. I'm trying to pull up my notes from the path to victory that the Clinton folks are now talking about. So it was Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Nevada, and New Hampshire.
Look, let's just get to know Michigan here. There's already one big story of the night in Michigan, and that is Macomb County. Macomb County, home of the Reagan Democrats, as you can see here. Look, there's still, there's still some of it out, but he's been winning it big by 16 points. Just so you know, let's see here. We've got a fun little thing we could do. So here's Trump leading Clinton by 16 points there. Now, let's see if our map is going to work this way. We're going to try this 2012, and we're going to take you to to Macomb County here. And this was Macomb. Oh well. That didn't work. We had a little toy here that was going to allow us to do that. Bottom line is Obama won Macomb. Okay? And he won it by 5 or 6 points. Donald Trump's winning Macomb County by 16 points. That's why Michigan is going to be too close to call, and that's why we're going to be here a long time getting to know Oakland County, getting to know Macomb County, getting to know Wayne County, getting to know Kent County, home of Grand Rapids. You got to see what Ann Arbor does. Bottom line is, everybody, get your hand out. I believe, which way is it? This way is Wisconsin, this way is Michigan. I hope I have it right. We're going to be messing around with Michigan for quite a while.
Tom Brokaw, no matter how this goes, this could be a very tight result at the end of the night, and what kind of place does that put the country in?
Well, I mean, if it comes down to what we now think it will for one or the other, and was just a point or two at the end of the night, it'll be contested, I think, by either side at this point. Not only that, but the country will be in a kind of state of suspension for a long time, and until we get it all worked out. Now, we survived all that when we went through it in 2000. We'll do it again.
All right. Our NBC News coverage of Decision Night in America continues here on NBC.
Michigan giving us influence tonight. Here are our 11 p.m. polls.